We cannot hear you. No sound. No sound. We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you.
I sent her a text.
Now can you hear me?
Yes.
It's such a simple thing. Since I was calling people, I just muted it and I forgot about it. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, now we all can hear, right? Good. Okay. Let's go ahead and start. Oh. 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 Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Neelambujasyamalapo Malangam Sita Samaropitavamabhagam Panau Saryakacharuchapam Namami Ramam Raghuvanshanatham Atulita Baladhamam Hemashailaabhadeham Danujavana Krushanam Jnaninam Agraganyam Sakala Gunanidhanam Vanaranam Adisham Raghupati Priya Bhaktam Vatajatam Namami Namah Shri Tulasi Dasa Sadvarishtaya Dhimate Puritam Hrudayam Yena Rama Premamrute Name. I was listening to Rama Bhadracharya, and he was saying, the one that we chant, Neelambuja Shamala Komalangam, and he said the whole Ramayana is in that one. And what he said was, first line, Neelambuja Shamala Komalangam. That is the childhood of Sri Ramchandraji. Komala Angas, it is there, he's just growing up. And then Sita Samaropita Vama Bhagam. So with Sita, she did not come and sit next to him. She is made Samaropita Vamabhav. She was brought and made to sit next on the left side of Sri Ramchandraji. So that is the Vivaha, the thing. And then Panav Mahasayaka Charu Chapam. So he's holding the bow in his. So that is the Vana, going to the forest and all that. And then Pana Mahasaya Kacharu Chapam Namami Ramam Raghu Vamshanatham. So that is the Rajya Bhara that he is doing. So this whole Ramayana is in this one. Beautiful, the way he talks. Of course, I don't understand Hindi 100%. So I understand 50%. So I get these things. I feel so good, when I listen to it. And then he was also talking about Sundarkand. He was telling why that Sundarkand is known as Sundarakand. He says because when Hanumanji jumped, towards Lanka, the mountain that he stood on that was Sundarachal. So that's why it is known as Sundarakand. And also, if you see in the Sundarakand, he says there is 9 times this word Sundara comes. So that's why it is called Sundarakand. So anyway, it is not for today's class, but anything that I hear, it makes me excited. I want to share with you all. Okay. Okay. So
Geetaji, who said that? What's the name of the?
Bhadrachal Ramdas. What is that? That blind Swamiji.
Okay, I've never heard, so I'm gonna YouTube. He's
Yeah.
on YouTube.
His whole Ramayana is on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Bhadrachalan Ram.
Bhadrachala Ramadas. I think
Ramadas. Okay.
I'm not sure.
I'll,
I will send you one of the links. From there you can go. Okay.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Enama? Did somebody say anything? Okay. I always get confused with that name, so I was hoping that somebody would remember that. Okay. So what are we seeing in Uttarakhand? Kakabhushandi, he finished, all the questions, answers was over, and then Loma Shamuni, was trying to teach him the knowledge, and he was not interested in that. Loma Shamuni cursed him. So with that curse, all the questions of Kakabhushandi was answered there. And then when afterwards, Bhushandi goes back to his ashram, and there, Garudji is little curious. He is for the knowledge. He is not for that bhakti that much. So he says, I understood everything that you said, but I have a question now. And he said, what is the question? Is there a difference between bhakti and gnana? Because when Loma Sumuni was, trying to teach you, you were so indifferent for that one. So does that mean is there a difference? So we saw that when it comes to the real bhakti, real gnana, the end result is the same. There is no difference. But there are differences in different things that we saw. There he said, in the knowledge, so the things that you need is vairagya, your yoga, and the scriptural study and all that. So when you take all those words, it is all masculine words. And so that's why he says that, it is a purushatva. So when we read that word Purusha, we feel, what about the women, feminine things. But if you take the feminine words in scriptures, it is all, what do you call that? Bhakti, Maya, and all these things are feminine words. So there he says that, when you say a feminine is abala and she doesn't have the strength, physically, yes, we can say that one. But bhakti and Maya, here he takes the word Maya. Maya is so strong. Okay, it can delude even the learned people. So you cannot put the say that feminine things are all very weak. No, it is not. So that's what he was talking in the last class, and he said Maya is the dancer, whereas bhakti is the queen. So even the knowledgeable people will come under the influence of Maya, but people who are devoted to Bhagavan, okay, they don't get under Maya, because they are totally surrendering to the Bhagavan. So it is the Bhagavan's power is there. So they don't get infatuated with the Maya. But whereas in Gnana, knowledge, it is all, I told you, like it is your own effort. You have to put your own effort. There is no support there. It is only you through your effort only you can get the knowledge. But now in case of bhakti, Bhagavan is there. So that's why I posted that bhajan where Guruji has sung. Please, what is that one? boat, please take that my boat across this ocean of samsara. So that's, so because we depend on Bhagavan at that time. So that is what it is. Thank you. Thank you. So sweet of you. Okay. And after telling all these things, Kakabhushan says there's one more difference between the Gnana and the Bhakti. So that is what we are going to see, the second one today. So it is after the Doha number 116. Sunahu Tatayaha. Okay. We did not chant it last time, right? We chanted that long. We did? We finished chanting? Okay. So then we don't have to chant. Okay. So we will just see the meaning then, okay, if we have already chanted it. Okay, so the one more difference is pointed out here. And so he says, you all got it, right? Okay. So here, Kakabhushan, he says, Sunahu Tatayaha Akata Kahani Samujata Banayina Jayi Bakani. So he says, oh Lord, listen to this story. Very, very peculiar story. But that's why he says Akata Kahani. And it is not easy to, usually when you tell a story, it is very simple. You can tell the story, in your own words and all that. But this one, it is not easy to say this one. It is Akata Kahani. And it is Samujata Banayina Jayi Bakani. But generally, like a, what you call an intelligent person, he can understand what is the story about. That is Samujata. Okay. And also, but person who is ignorant, he cannot describe this story. Bakani means describe. So, but this story cannot be described. But a learned person can understand this one. That's all it is telling. So here, learned person is, the one who is a gnani, who is in the Gnana Marga. He can understand this story. But the other one, actually, he's telling, the one who is following the bhakti path, he cannot understand this story. So he is telling the story. What is that story? It is all about. Okay. So he says, Ishvara Amsa Jiva Abhinasi Chetana Amala Sahaja Sukha Rasi. So Ishvara Amsa Jiva Avinashi. So all jivas are actually is a part of Ishvara. It is a amsha, of Ishvara. And it is avinashi, it is immortal. So you can say, well, if the jiva is a part of the Bhagavan Ishvara, then if Ishvara is immortal, we also should be immortal then, right? So you just, listen, then you will understand what I'm going to say there. So if Ishvara is Satchidananda, we are also Satchidananda, because we are all a part of that one. And here, and the Chetana is the consciousness. This Chetana is consciousness which is Amala. Amala is without mala, without any dirt. It is very pure. And Sahaja, it is, Sahaja means you can say Nitya also. Naturally, it is pure. And also Sukharasi, it is a, it is a, what you call, bountiful of Sukha. So, this Chetana is, this is what it is. It is, the consciousness is pure and it is bliss. That's what it is saying there. So here, if you say, like, it is Ishvara Amsha, then first of all, we need to know is who is Ishvara. When we say Ishvara, normally we did the Shivratri Puja today, and we think it is Lord Shiva. But it is not Lord Shiva that is being taught here. Here, Ishvara stands for Brahman with the, what you call, the creating power. He is known as Ishvara. Okay. So here, Tulsi, actually, this Sri Ramchandraji is also Ishvara in Saguna form. He is Brahman in Saguna form. That's what it is. So that's why we see Tulsidas ji so many times in the Ramcharitmanas, when he describes Sri Ramchandra Ji, he shows his Brahmatvam there. So he says, some of the few sentences I wrote it down here. He has used Vyapaka Brahma Akanda Ananta for Sri Ramchandra Ji. And he has said Amita Amoga Shakti Bhagavanta and Nirmala Nirakara Niramoha. And then Nitya Niranjana Sukha Sandoha. See, all these words, if you see, this is pointing towards Brahman only. So Sri Ramchandra Ji is the Brahman, but in Saguna form. That's all it is. And now when it says, it is said Jiva is the Amsha, part of Brahma. So are the Jivas really a part of Brahma, part of God? How do you say this one? So if you take this Brahman, okay, you can say there's only two different ways. This Brahman takes the form. So one is called Swa Ansha. So where he is the avatars that we are talking about. So in avatars, he with his own amsha, he becomes a Saguna form. Like Sri Ramchandra Ji, Lord Krishna, even Matsya Avatara, Kurma Avatara, all these avatars is Swa Ansha. And the other way that he takes a manifestation of God is Nibhinna Amsha. Okay, and this is where all these jivas come under this category. So they are not directly part of Bhagavan. So it is Vibhinna, other than. But here Kakabhushan is telling it's the Amsha of the Bhagavan. Why he says that one, we will see that one also. Okay. And here when we say he is Vibhinna Amsha, why we say that one? Because Jivas, experience the result of their actions that they do. Okay, but the Lord God himself, he doesn't have any results that he experiences. Actually, he is the one who gives the results. So there is the difference between Jiva and Bhagavan also. That's why, even Tulsidas ji says, Jo jasa karai so tasa pala baka. So what you sow, that's what you reap. Okay. And he says, Parabasa Jiva. The Jiva is not independent. It is dependent. Parabasa. Okay. And Swabasa Bhagavanta. But Bhagavan is not dependent on anybody. Okay, Bhagavan is totally independent. So when you read all these things, we can see there's only one God, but there are many, many jivas. Now, when we say jiva, Ishvara Amsha is jiva, what is jiva? Okay, so jiva, you can say, is consciousness plus this inert body, mind, and intellect. That is a jiva. Okay, and here the consciousness that is all pervading, that reflects in the mind, and that reflection gives the power for this whole body to act. So actually, when I said, so you have the consciousness and the reflected consciousness. So the reflected consciousness makes this body work. The reflected consciousness is the one that tells the hands, okay, now you have to pick this up. It tells the eyes, okay, look, watch out, there is this Taran. So all our sense organs, whether it is Jnanendriyas or Karmendriyas, they are directed by this reflected consciousness from the mind. Okay, but as I said, what is Jiva? Consciousness and reflected consciousness. Okay, so there is this Paramatma there also. So how do you say that one? Because Paramatma is all pervading. So you cannot have a Jiva without consciousness. So consciousness is already there also. But the consciousness is not the one that is telling, okay, you do this work, you don't do this work, this is good for you, don't eat this one. It's not telling anything. Okay, it is just there. It is just like electricity is there, but in the presence of electricity, whatever the gadgets you plug, it works like that, whether it is a heater or a cooler, air conditioner or whatever. But the electricity doesn't do anything. Okay, but it gives the power. So here also the consciousness, the supreme Lord, okay, that is reflected in the mind. So that reflected consciousness is making us all do. It is making me talk. It is making me move around, and it is making me my hands move. But it is not the consciousness, but it is the reflected consciousness. Okay, so that is the difference that we have to remember that one. So keep this one in our in the mind, and then we will see little more about that one. Okay, and then he says here, yeah,
You know how you said what you sow is what you reap.
reap, yeah.
How does that, what is the relation to that with your consciousness?
That has nothing to do. I'm telling about Jiva. Jiva reaps the results of its actions. But in case of Bhagavan, the consciousness, he is the giver of the results. He doesn't reap any results if he does any action. If Sri Ramchandra ji kills all the demons and all that, it is not that he has to pay for that. He has to experience those things. No. But he is the one who gives the results of actions. But whereas the Jiva is concerned, Jiva experiences of all the actions it does. That's the difference between a Jiva and the consciousness. I know this is why, when it comes to this Gnana Yoga, it is, we really have to make an effort to understand this. If not, we won't understand it. Yeah. Okay. And so in the next one, he says, so Maya basa bayabu gosai bandhyo kari marakataki nai. But the Kakabhushan is telling, but Garudji, this Jiva came under the spell of Maya. Okay, but you might ask, when was the time that this body got under the Maya? But we know, so don't ask anything, because it is anadi, it is eternal. This Maya, that we have the ignorance, that is eternal. But this ignorance can be removed. Okay, so even though it is eternal, it can be removed also through knowledge. And so that is the reason, what we are doing, why we are doing, sometimes we don't even have an idea. Okay, so because we are under the ignorance or the Maya here. And then says, Bandhyo kari marakatiki nai. So how we are bound with to the Maya, to this world, it is, he gives the example of Marakata. It's like a monkey. Okay, so actually, if you see in the book, there are two examples that he talks about the monkey and a parrot. Okay, but here the only Marakata word is used here. So like a monkey. So how does the monkey comes under bondage? It shows, how we don't even think that we are in bondage. And getting rid of bondage is so easy, but we know we don't want to get rid of that. For example, the monkey, how they catch the monkey? They take a pot that has a narrow neck, and then they put the peanuts in that one, and then they spread it in the forest. Okay, so the monkeys love peanuts, so it goes there and it puts its hand through the into the pot. The neck is narrow, the hand can go inside, and it grabs the peanuts, and now the hands cannot come out, because the neck is very narrow. If only it lets go of the peanuts, it can come out. But the bondage is so much, you don't want to you don't want to give up that. So that's how, the men come and they see this monkey running around with this one, and with ha ha ha, then they catch these monkeys. Like it's the same way the parrot, there's in the footnote that is given, I didn't know about that one. So it says, the people who catch the parrots, they spread a net, and then they put the sticks there, and then the food also there. So when the parrot comes, first it sits on the stick before it pecks the food. So when it sits on the stick topples, it moves. So the parrot becomes very, very agitated, fear, and it hangs on to that stick so hard. And the man comes and picks up all these parrots. But if only the parrot lets go of that stick, it can fly away. So this is how, we fall into bondage, and here we might say that, look at the parrot, or the monkey. Those are all animals. They don't know anything. That's why they're in bondage. But let us look at ourselves. There is a story that Guruji tells. There was this saint and a student, like one of his devotee, he came and he said, Oh Guru, this bondage of samsara is so hard. It has caught me and I cannot get rid of this one. So the Guru just smiled. He did not say anything. And then after a few days, the devotee was coming. And when the Guru saw him, he got up and he went and hugged a tree. And hugging the tree, he says, oh, the tree is not leaving me. The tree is not leaving me. I cannot, free myself. I cannot free myself. So this devotee came and said, Guru, all you have to do is, let go of your hands. That's all you have to do. Why are you saying this one? And said, oh, really? Even the world is like that. You just have to let go of that. So, but we hang on to that one, and that's how our bondage becomes stronger and stronger. It's very interesting. You take the word householder. Is the house holding you or you are holding the house? See, this is how our bondages are, So he's saying, Bandyo, this Maya Basu, the one who comes under the influence of Maya, he becomes Bandyo, he becomes bound, just like this Marakata, this like the monkey, and or even like the parrot, or even with like the Swamiji that he was talking about there. Okay, and then okay, the parrot is over now. Okay. Next one is Jada Chetanahi Granthi Pari Gayi Jatapi Mrusha Chutata Katinai. Jada, we already said, this inert body. And Chetana, that is Chaitanya Atma. Is there any way the Chaitanya Atma and this Jada body can become one? Can they have a relationship, they become like a together, they're bound each other? Is it possible? So this is where, the Kakabhushan is telling, it looks like as though it is bound, but actually it cannot be bound at all. So that's why he says, Jadapi Mrusha, even though it is not true, even though it is false, but still, Chutata Katinai, to separate ourselves from that Maya, separate ourselves from the Bandhan, it is very, very Katinai. It is very, very difficult to do that one. So here, a little bit more of the knowledge here. Advaita Vedanta. Okay. So here we talk about Jada and Chaitanya, right? So I just said Jada is inert. Chaitanya is consciousness. Okay. So we are that consciousness, because I already told you this Jiva is consciousness plus reflected consciousness. So we are that consciousness, but what we do, we identify with this body, mind, and intellect. But we don't identify, I am that consciousness. But we identify with the body, and with whatever comes with the body, we just get bound more and more here. And this consciousness is nitya, it is eternal. But this jivahood, that reflected consciousness, it is not nitya. It comes and goes. But with the body, it is there. When the body falls, it is not there. But consciousness still stays, whether it has the body or not. But the consciousness is there all the time in the here. And this why we call this body as Jada? Because this body is made up of 5 elements. Okay. And what are those 5 elements? Space, air, fire, water, and earth. And this Jada body, as I said, it comes and goes, and but identification is the problem with us. That's why we get bound by that one. And this body also goes through 6 modifications, what we call Shadvikaras. And what are those? First one is Asti. There is this existence. So, in a womb, there is that the baby's existence starts. and then jayate, it is born. And once the baby is born, what does it do? It starts growing, and that is what we call vardhate. And then viparinamate, it goes through a lot of changes, from childhood to the adulthood, and then the old age comes and all that. And after that, what happens? As the old age starts coming, apakshiyate, it starts decaying. And one day, vinashyati, it dies. But you could take the consciousness. Consciousness does not have these shadvikaras. Consciousness does not go through any of these things. Okay, so that is nitya. That is the permanent thing that we have here. So that is the chaitanya. So the chaitanya and the jada, actually they cannot get bound. But it is as though, because what we identify with, we identify with our body all the time. So that's what happens. And when the jiva forgets, it is that Bhagavan, it is that consciousness. And then it takes this body as its home. So that's what happens. And then it forgets its real nature. And we think, when are we going to get moksha? When are we going to get moksha? When are we going to get liberation? But actually, you were never bound. You are all the time liberated. But we think we are bound. That's all it is. Okay, so once, instead of this, if you turn towards the consciousness, get away from the body, that's all you have to do. You just have to turn a different way. That's it. We look at the mirror, we see our image, and that is the reflected image. But you just turn and say, okay, I'm not this reflection, but I am this real thing. So forget about the reflected consciousness. You see, when we talk about all these things, this doesn't mean, that how are we going to live in this world? We still have to live. We still have to do our things and all that. But still, at the same time, we have to realize who we are. That's where, the scriptures comes and tells us how to do those things. And like one of the great books that for these things is Drishya Vivek, and also Aparokshanubhuti. So if you see in those things, it says, realize you are the drashta, the seer, but not the seen. So he gives the example. So you see the pages here. So this is something seen, but your eyes are the drashta, the what is seeing. Then you go and say, my eyes are the seen, but my mind is the one that knows that one. So like that, you go back and back and back, and then you end up with consciousness. So even in our daily things, as long as we have this thought, I am the drashta, but everything is happening because of that my consciousness only. But it is, we have to go through this one. So even a little bit of thinking like this one, it helps a lot. Okay, so
What was the second one? Drishya Vivek.
Aparokshanubhuti. Both were written by Adi Shankaracharya. Okay, so and here even Tulsidas ji says the same thing here. Like coming under Maya, he says, "Mai moru gaye bina jiva sukuna pavai." What is this? Unless this me, I, and mine goes. Okay, until that goes, this jiva does not have any kind of happiness. Sukha power. And then he also says, Mai aru moru toru tai maya jahi basakin he jiva nikaya. So what is that? My auru more, me and mine. Toru tai. So you and yours. That is Maya. So because we get so involved with this one, and we see the difference in between me and you, and this, so we start getting bound by that. Jahi basa kine jiva nikaya. So this jiva are all has become slaves. It's all enslaved. there is one thing, like people who know Kannada, they will understand this one, what I'm going to say very well. You will understand that one. There is you all know Kanakadasa, right? That great Bhakta of Lord Krishna, Udupi Krishna. And his guru was Tirtharaya, Vyasa Tirtha, that was his name. So one time Kanakadasa was in Vyasa Tirtha's court, okay, and there were lots of saints, that were sitting there. So the guru tells Kanakadasa, look at all these people and tell me who is going to go to, who is going to get liberated, who is going to get the moksha. He looks at every one of them and he says, Nanu hodara hodana. So that means, if Nanu hodara hodana means I might go. But, everybody feels, what a arrogant person he is. Even he's telling, his guru is there and still he says, I might go. Yeah. So then the guru says, and looks at him and he says, explain what you said. So he says, Nanu is I-ness. When this I-ness goes, then I might go to the, I might get the liberation. So this I-ness and minus and you and yours and all this is the one that binds us so much in this world. So that's what he's saying. So Maya basu bayavu gosayi bandyo kari marakatiki nayi jada chetanahi granthi parigayi jadabi mrusha chutat katinayi. Even though it is mrusha, even though this knot that has formed between the jiva and the consciousness is not the truth, it is the false, but still it is very, very hard to get rid of that. It is very hard to untie this knot here. Tabate jiva bhayavu sansari chutuna granthina hoi sakar. So when did it happen? Since then, since the once it got what you call identified with the body, since then it has become a sansari. Okay, and this knot between this body and this soul, that has taken place, it doesn't come out at all. So he says chutana granthi, this knot, it doesn't, you cannot untie it, you cannot break it. Na hoi sukhari. And unless it happens, you're not going to be happy. There is no happiness without breaking this bond between the jiva and the consciousness. Shruti Purana Bahu Kahevu Upayi Chutana Adhika Aru Jai. But our Shrutis, our Vedas and Puranas and all the scriptures give many upayas, give many means to break this one. But still, Chutana Adhika Aru Jai. The more you try to untie it, it becomes tighter and tighter and tighter. So that's what he is telling, that you get more entangled. So when he says, Shruti Purana Bahu Kayo Upayi, there are means, for this one. You can take, like in Panchadashi, there is this one sentence that says, Avichara Kruto Bandhaha Vicharena Nivartate. So lack of right thinking is the one that makes us get bound. But the right thinking will make us separate. That is one thing. And even in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan talks about Naishkarmya Yoga. What is Naishkarmya Yoga? That is, freedom from the prescribed duties. Prescribed duties I'm talking about, okay? So how do you do, if you do that one, you will get liberated, okay? But what we just cannot live without doing any actions. Bhagavan himself says, Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krita. Even you cannot sit even for a second without doing any actions. So you might say, no, I'm just sitting, I'm not doing any actions. So, why do you say that I'm doing actions? But action is going on in your body. Respiration is going on. Digestion is going on. Thinking is going on. Everything is going on. So we cannot live, doing any actions. So that is what it is. And then he says, like why Jiva is not able to untie from the samsara? Because, as I said, Jiva does the actions and it experiences the results also. And this jiva, when it does one action, when the results come, if it is good, we want to do it again. If we are happy, we want to do it again. If this food tastes good, I want to eat again. So in this restaurant, this food is good, so I want to go back again. So, and more results you want to experience. But at the same time, if the results are not good, I want to run away from that one. Okay. So this way, what happens is the actions that we do, and since we have to experience those actions, results of those actions, there is no way you can say, I will do the action, but I don't want any results. You are going to get the results. And to experience those results, you take birth after birth after birth after birth after birth, because you cannot experience all the results of all the actions in one janma. So it is like, you know, the in Vedanta, the examples that they give is the mustard seeds and a coconut. So if you put the mustard seeds on the ground, in 3 days it sprouts. But if you put the coconut in the ground, it takes 3 years to sprout. So same way with the actions. Some actions will give the results and we experience, but there are some actions we are not able to experience in this lifetime. So we are born again. So this is how, you know, action, results, experience. Action, results, experience. This is how we are bound in this samsara. And this law of karma, you know, it is, if you do the action, you have to experience. You just cannot say. That's why, you know, then how do you do it? This, you know, I just said, you know, freedom from the prescribed duties. Bhagavad Gita says Naishkarmya. So in Bhagavad Gita, it tells you how you can do the action without getting the results. When you become the akarta, I'm not the doer. So when you realize you are not doing the actions, this body is doing the actions, but I am that consciousness, I'm not doing that one. So when you realize that, that is how in the Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to become the akarta. Okay, so that's how you can become liberated. So, you know, very simply, whenever we do the puja, whenever we do something good and all, what do? Shri Krishnarpanamastu. I did not do it. Bhagavan did it. So when you take away this kartahood, doership, okay, then, you know, you go towards the liberation. So Shruti Purana kahu kahe upayi. So Shruti and Purana, they give you many kinds of upaya. That means chutana adhika adhika rujayi, but not able to understand that one, what happens, you know, more we try to untie it, the bond becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. Jiva hrudayatama moha biseshi granthi chuta kimi parayina deki. So, and these jivas are filled with darkness only. That's what he says, tama moha, darkness of ignorance. You know, this is a what you call this, erroneous notions. And granthi chuta kimi parayina deki. So how can he release himself from this granthi in a parayina deki? He can't, first of all, he cannot see there is a knot. And then how can he even think of untying that knot? We don't even think we are bound. So if we don't know we are bound, how are we going to become unbound? We are so happy. See, for example, in a person whose life is very good, you know, he has not gone through any troubles at all. Everything is there. You know, there is the happy children, happy family, no problem with the money, nothing is there. Do you think they will ever think of I'm bound? This is what happens. We don't even think we are bound many times. Only when the hardships comes, you know, then we think of Bhagwan. Kashta bandare, sankata haranana, it is something like that. Sankata bandare, something like that. So this is what it, you know, he is telling here. So here Guruji says, how can these two get tied? One is pure. You know, he says, atyanta malina deha. This body is completely impure. And whereas Devi cha atyanta nirmalaha, the consciousness completely pure. How can the pure and the impure, can really become tied like that? And so we think we are bound, but we are not bound. So this way, he takes this whole thing, and next portion that is going to come is, if we are ignorant, how to get rid of this ignorance? If there is darkness, how to get rid of the darkness? Only thing is, if there is darkness, you take a light and it removes the darkness. So if we are ignorant, so what we need is, we need the lamp of knowledge. And if we have this lamp of knowledge, then our ignorance will be gone too. So to have that lamp of knowledge, he talks about starting, like you just take, hey, no running, no running.
Okay, watch it. Yeah.
So in the lamp, you have seen the ghee and the wick and all that things, right? So he starts with, to have the ghee, what do you need? So for the ghee, you need the butter. For the butter, you need the curds. For the curds, you need the milk. To get the milk, you need the cow. So he starts from cow. So here is a beautiful metaphor, a long metaphor. He starts from Dhenu, and then he takes you all the way to the lamp, and how you can get rid of your ignorance through this lamp of knowledge. So that is what is going to come now. So we are going to stop here. As I said, we'll stop at 3:45 because we want to clean up here. It's already 3:50 now. So we'll stop here, and then we will see this metaphor in our next class. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Gitaji, I have a quick question. Should I ask now or wait